the current director of national intelligence. She'll be threatening CNN with a lawsuit. As you may have heard, obviously we're talking about our friend and former colleague, Tulsi Gabbard, who was on the show for a number of years until she was confirmed to her position as director of national intelligence. Because now, Will, it seems like CNN, they really care about voter integrity and making sure people have proper ID when voting, because this is another kind of unfounded claim that they're going to throw at someone like Tulsi to try to just take him down another peg.
It appears that the attorneys that sent this letter to CNN and this cease and desist letter, that they it's become aware to them that CNN is going to publish a story that is inferring she's no longer a resident of Hawaii, does not have residency there, and is in fact a resident of another state, and therefore when she voted in Hawaii, committed something which I thought was a myth, according to CNN and the left, or something that sparks an insurrection, that she may have committed voter fraud if she voted there. Now, the letter details why these allegations that they are reportedly going to report are false, why they are wrong on the law, and why she is, in fact, a resident of Hawaii and did not violate any laws.
Now, of course, a lot of this was for her own security, her own safety, and that's even what is stated in some of these comments and quotes, that she wanted to make sure that she's protected. Obviously, as someone who's threatened a lot, quite a bit. And, we don't do a great job in this country of protecting people's personal and private information. It seems like that is easily found and shared. And we know it's been shared for nefarious reasons.
But here's what the deal is with this. Her attorney sent a letter to CNN because they have been notified that CNN was planning on publishing a story that they say falsely asserts or implies that Tulsi Gabbard committed voter fraud and suggests that she had abandoned her long-standing Hawaii residency. Director Gabbard was, is, and intends to remain a Hawaii resident. That is where she lives, pays taxes, and of course, votes. And just anecdotally, we've connected with her many times when it is very early in the morning because she is in Hawaii.
I mean, obviously, she travels a lot now, is in Washington, D.C., primarily, I would assume.
Right. But yes, where her job is currently. But how many senators never return home to their home state but don't give up their residency of Idaho when they are in Washington, D.C.? It is interesting because what it seems like they're trying to harp on here is that there is property she owns in Texas, and that there is a homestead exemption that was claimed in Texas, and where they refute this, saying any suggestion she's no longer a resident because she took the advice of local officials to register a homestead exemption to protect her and her family's privacy is flat wrong, factually and legally. Texas case law is clear that just because a person has claimed a homestead exemption at one property does not preclude them from being a resident somewhere else. Then they go on to say, and this is where the teeth of this letter come, because it's not just don't publish it. And normally, when you are a public figure, it is hard to get to that bar of defamation. But that's exactly what the attorneys here are threatening CNN with. The proposed publication of these allegations constitute defamation under applicable law. Defamation involves the publication of a false statement that injures a party's reputation. In this case, the allegations against Ms. Gabbard are demonstrably false and have the potential to cause significant harm to her personal and professional reputation. Publication of such false statements with reckless disregard for the truth meets the legal standard for defamation. And they go on to say that if they do proceed with publication of these allegations, we will not hesitate to pursue all available legal remedies to protect Ms. Gabbard's rights. This may include initiating a defamation lawsuit, seeking substantial damages, and requesting injunctive relief to mitigate further reputational harm.
There's a lot of comments going, well, don't they have broadcast things? They have rights in the FCC. Well, these are cable outlets. So the rules are a lot less. These are private companies. These are not over-the-air broadcasts. Look, is it archaic? Maybe that we have those different rules? Yeah, probably in 2025. Do I think the FCC should exist? Yes. Do I actually think they should be a little looser than they are a lot of times? Also, yes. I think some of the rules and regulations are, like I said, very archaic. But remember, you're dealing with a different situation when you're watching your local news or even NBC News on the weekends, whatever, than you are in MSNBC.
It is quite shocking to learn that there are journalists at CNN, alleged journalists, that are pursuing a story where they're going to claim that someone may or may not have committed voter fraud, when once again, that has been pushed on everyone that is just a conspiracy theory, Republican talking point, and a dangerous thing to even allege in this country.
There is news that is particularly aimed at certain audiences. There's no way to watch MSNBC and not see the slant. CNN tries to hide it a little better, but even I remember that time, it was Caitlin Collins or someone was on Colbert, and she said, we're always trying to be, neutral, and the crowd laughed.
CBS came to a settlement with President Trump over issues he had with them during the campaign. This is now starting to be a pattern where people are calling their bluff. So while you look at the statements previously against Tulsi, which are arguably meant to defame her, calling her a puppet of Putin or having commentators on to express their opinion that she may be too cozy with Assad, that they can get away with. But when you start trying to cite that you committed a crime, a statute violation that would harm your reputation, when they are showing the law where this was not the case, and if they still go forward with that, that is where you could see the jump for a public figure of publishing something that then at that point they know is false, and then are still trying to do that to harm the reputation. If you could go after people for defaming a public figure, then every corporation that is a major broadcaster would be bankrupt, because how many times they called President Trump Hitler or a fascist.
You heard Tulsi over the last couple of years on this broadcast. You saw her move from being a Democrat that was running against President Trump to seeing really behind the curtain and working her way towards the center and then towards the right. We saw that with Elon Musk. You've seen that with a lot of people when they were exposed to really what was going on.
For all the left's claims of being the tolerant party, the inclusive party, in reality, they are only accepting of you if you follow their party platform and ideology to a T. If not, you are cast out. And if you are a public figure within that movement, they will say the worst things in the world about you and end up putting you on the Quiet Skies Terror watch list, or saying that you commit voter fraud, or say that you are a puppet of some of the worst adversaries the United States has. And that is what we have seen play out. That is the reality of where the party and the way that they dictate, you have to stick with their ideology every step of the way.